Hello there guys, welcome to Dinos Vault. Welcome to my first ride review of the 2020 KTM Duke 200, the BS6 model. Today I tell you everything that you need to know. This is the most comprehensive makeover that the Duke 200 has received ever since its inception back in 2012. So let's start the bike. I'm extremely sorry, I'm still suffering from cold really badly, sore throat. So forgive me for my bad throat. So let me quickly give you guys an overview before I share my first ride impression as to how it feels. The bike gets a complete design overhaul, which is really good, which is the 1290 Super Duke inspired styling, reminiscent of the Duke 250 and the Duke 390. In fact, it looks absolutely identical to that of the Duke 250. You can see the headlamp design, which is absolutely similar to that of the Duke 250 with the LED DRLs and stuff. And you also have the blackened headlamp with the orange accent, which looks really cool. This is the black and white paint scheme. You also have the orange and black paint scheme. I've done the walk around of both the color schemes. You can watch that walk around video by following the link in the description portion below. And special thanks to KTM Begumpet for allowing me to do this first ride review for you guys. And you can call the number appearing on the screen to get the best deals or other details, booking details about the KTM motorcycles, the new BS6 lineup that has been launched. Now talking about the changes, the powertrain remains the same. It continues to be powered by the same single cylinder 199.5cc fuel injected liquid cooled engine that puts out 25 PS of max power and 19.3 Newton meters of max torque. We get a 6-speed gearbox. The gearbox is now smoother. I've ridden this bike already and I'm doing this walk around after the ride. And you also get a larger 13.5 liter steel tank, which is really good now. It's similar to that of the Duke 250. The seat layout is all new. You get more space for the rider to move around, which is really good. You get an easily accessible pillion seat, which can be accessed by ladies easily now. And the space on offer is also much better. Tail lamp design is all new, reminiscent of the Duke 390 and the 250, and it looks really good when it lights up. The LED turn indicators have always been a hallmark design element and they look really good. There's no need to change them. Another important update is the chassis. Now we get the split steel trellis frame with a bolt-on subframe, just like the Duke 390 and the Duke 250. So this offers more aggressive, more precise and razor sharp handling characteristics when compared to the older gen Duke. And the handlebar is moved closer to the rider, so that's another thing that helps in steering through the chock-a-block city traffic. Another important update to note with the BS6 update is the inclusion of this extra bit of canister. Maybe that's an extra catalytic converter to reduce the sound and to comply with the emission norms. So the new BS6 model, as mentioned before, is more cleaner and greener and puts out lesser emissions and lesser pollution when compared to the BS4 model. You still continue to get the trademark underbelly exhaust, but it now is completely blacked out. You get the beautifully laid out aluminum swing arm, which not only looks great but also aids in superior handling characteristics. The tail section is sharp and sleek, and you also have this orange accent going with the rear panels. Talking about the brakes, we get a massive 300mm front disc and maybe a 230 or 240mm rear disc. You can check that by going through the spec sheet. But the best part is that we now get dual channel ABS as standard. Also, you get the chunky inverted front forks from WP Suspension, which offer a superb front end feel and offer great reassurance and confidence while doing higher speeds or tackling sharper corners. We also get a rear monoshock with a dedicated cover to prevent the dust from accumulating in there, so that's a good touch. The handlebar is nice and neatly laid out and offers a nice upright seating posture. Speedo console remains more or less the same. You also get a well-equipped instrument cluster which gives out all the relevant information. The clutch feel is much better now. It's lighter and more effortless when compared to prior. Switchgear offers a nice and tactile feel to it. Talking about the tires, we get a MRF Rev Z C1 tires, which is a radial rear tire which offers better water channeling capabilities and better road grip with high speed stability as well as better cornering stability. So now let's listen to the exhaust note. It's definitely a lot quieter than the BS4 model, but when you rev it harder, you have that signature exhaust note of the Duke bloodline. So that's pretty much it. Now that I've given you guys a quick overview of the motorcycle, let's go ahead and check out my first ride impression of the 2020 KTM Duke 200 BS6 model. So that was a quick fire acceleration test of the BS6 Duke 200. It does around 128 kilometers per hour. This is a brand new bike, so I give it the benefit of doubt. I'm sure it can do better after the first and second service once the engine break-in has happened. It is refined with the BS6 update. The acceleration is nice and clean and linear as always, and the clutch feel is nice and light as well. It's better than the BS4 model and the BS3 models. The gearbox is now more smoother and offers more precise shifts. Now one thing you notice as soon as you hop on to the new BS6 2020 KTM Duke 200 is that the saddle is now taller. I think it's just as much as taller as the 250 or the Duke 390. I think maybe it's around 830 mm. I'm not sure. You can confirm that by checking the official specs or confirm that with the nearest KTM showroom in your city, but it definitely feels taller. Now I am around 5 feet 7 inches tall, and I can barely tiptoe on this bike. You can see I cannot put my feet flat on the ground, so it's not much of a deal breaker because the handling and the balance is so perfect on this machine that you can ride and play around with it once you get a hang of it. Now this is the complete overhaul that the machine gets. You get the split steel trellis frame with a bolt-on subframe. As a result, the handling is more aggressive and precise, and the control is better when compared to prior. The handlebar is moved further closer to the rider, so you feel more in control whether you're navigating through the city traffic or slicing through a corner or hitting the streets. This handlebar gives you utmost confidence, and perfectly aiding this is the ideally positioned rider foot pegs, which gives you a nice and upright seating posture. You can ride on this all day long. The saddle is not too hard, not too soft, because even overly soft seats tend to give you a butt aches. The bike gets dual channel ABS as standard, so let's quickly do a braking test. Wow, the braking is nice and smooth and very controlled. So the suspension is perfectly tuned. The front end is just about perfect damping settings. It offers great high speed stability, great cornering stability. The rear one is slightly on the softer side, but that adds on to offering more comfort while riding through the city streets, and you can stiffen it if you're going to ride it on the tracks. The chassis is brilliant. The aluminum swing arm aids the chassis in offering outstanding handling characteristics, just as always been the case with the Duke family. So what KTM have done with the BS6 update is that they've made the engine more refined. They've kind of slightly reduced the top end, but they have improved the initial torque and the pickup right through up to the mid-range, and that's what matters because you're going to ride this predominantly through the city streets and take it out for those occasional weekend rides. The bottom end and the mid-range is where you have all the fun happening, and the top end has been slightly curtailed. Maybe it will break free after the second and third service, but initially all the fun and the riding pleasure lies low down in the RPM range and up to the mid-range. The heat management has improved with the BS6 update as well. I came riding through the chock-a-block city traffic, and I have to tell you that the heating is really well managed now. The Duke 200 2020 BS6 model carries forward the legacy of the Duke 200. It's fast, it's intense, the acceleration is clean and linear and smooth. Refinement has been further fine-tuned. The Super Duke design and the new livery looks absolutely stunning, and I'm sure this is just the right kind of upgrade that all the KTM Duke fanboys were hoping for the Duke 200. Cheers to the decade of legacy that's gone past, and cheers to the decade of legacy that lies ahead, courtesy of the Duke 200. Well, I guess this wraps up my review of the 2020 KTM Duke 200 BS6 model. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, take care, God bless, and ride safe.